Grand Slam freestyle chess being held in Las Vegas. We have just had Wimbledon. We've just been done with one Grand Slam which had its own rivalries, controversies, brilliancies. Now we're moving on to the freestyle chess Grand Slam. My word, have we got some insane games for you. So, all the top players in the world are here except for Jan Nepomniachtchi, who I just wanted to say quick condolences. Hope everything is okay with that beautiful man. He will be back stronger than ever, and we will see him on our screens once more. But he's not here in this tournament, but every other strong player in the world you can think of is here. Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, Hikaru Nakamura, and Hans Niemann. Oh my god, the fact that he is here makes this so exciting, because everyone hates the man. And he doesn't care. He just gets on with it. I love it, I love it, I love it. The games I'm going to be showing you today: Magnus Carlsen, Prague Nanada, Hans vs Fabiano, Hans vs Hikaru, Magnus Carlsen vs Levon Aronian, and Magnus Carlsen vs Levon Aronian. We'll get into that a little bit later on. I'll explain why those matches are so important. But guys, they're doing a round robin to try and get into the winner's bracket to go on into a knockout format, which is then 30 minutes. The round robin's only 10 minutes time control. But my word, is it exciting. Game number 1. Magnus Carlsen vs Prague Nanada from India. I'm sorry if I've butchered his name. I normally just call him Prague. You know, when we're talking back and forth, that's how it goes. Well, as you can see, the position's very random. Fish are random. Chess 960, freestyle chess, whatever you want to call it. This is the format. Randomized position every single game. Let's jump straight into this. So this position, very wacky. King on the C1 square, C8 square, whatever you want to say. Knight jumps to B3. That's the opening move. Then we get knight b6, e4 and e5, so both taking the centre at the same time. We get f3 opening up the bishop, knight e6, a4 literally striking immediately. Maybe looking to bring the rook to a1 to just launch an attack. We get knight takes on a4. Uh-oh, you've opened up the rook. That's terrifying. Magnus just plays d6, bishop takes on a7. I wonder, okay, you just attack here. What would happen if you just played, I don't know, b6? Why is the engine absolutely hating this? Because you can just take... What? What? Oh, no, it's because of... You just lose the rook. Guys, just ignore me, okay? Just ignore me. Moves to attack. Pawn strikes. Knight to e3. f6 is played. d3. We are literally going to fly through these games. We have so many to get through. Knight to d4. Oh, my God. Look at this gorgeous outpost. I mean, I know it can immediately be taken, but I don't know if you want to take that just yet. Pawn push. And now we take, double stacking the pawns. This has given us a mistake for Magnus. Apparently you're meant to take with the e-pawn. Why that is, I couldn't tell you. Haven't got a Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Knight f5, rook goes to a6. We get queen b4, knight c5. Gorgeous outpost again. And here is an absolutely sensational move from Prague. This is why he is the #1 Indian player in the world, despite Gukesh winning the World Championships. Can you find the brilliant move? If you said knight d6 check, you are a genius, okay? Giving a check, forking the king and queen, so the rook kind of has to take. I mean, like, what? But it's a mistake. How on earth is this a mistake? I don't know. Best move is king to b8. I mean, it's just insanity. Like, obviously, you can't really take the queen yet, because then there's just knight d3, and there's the exact same fork. But this is just an absolutely wild position. So the rook does take. Then you take the knight with check, which is a beautiful move. Queen goes to c6 blocking. And then there's this move, rook a8. Look at the eval bar. Prague is absolutely taking Magnus to school. And obviously the queen just cannot take this rook because of this pin. So we get the move king to d7. We get queen takes free pawn on b5. Queen takes back. Pawn takes. Eval bars hopping all over the place. But look at their time. They have no time to work this out at all. King c7, rook a7 check, king goes to b6, and then we get another pawn taken by Prague. I mean, he is currently up 3 pawns. He's up 3 pawns. How is that even possible? Okay, now he's only up 2 pawns, but for a brief second there, he was up 3 pawns. Bishop goes up to c2. It's a mistake. We're not going to look too far into that. And now you pin the bishop to the king. King slides over, breaks the pin. This is a check. Takes the bishop. Takes the bishop. threatening the other bishop. The bishop moves, rook slides over to f8. We get king b1, rook to d2. Magnus now on his own hunt, looking to pick up some of his own pawns. Prague slides over to c1, cutting off the king. Get bishop b6, rook goes to d7, and now finally Magnus picks up another pawn. So now the deficit is only one pawn. Important to note. Rook d5 check, king has to hide, rook goes to d6, pinning the bishop, king just goes back, and now Prague picks up yet another pawn, and he's threatening to just go on a mental rampage and just start eating everything. Rook goes to d2. We get another pawn trade. Gives a check. King goes to a6. Pinning the... Oh my god, this is just insane. Look how scary this is for Magnus. Rook h6. Rook to g6. We don't trade, we just pick up the pawn. I mean, look at the time. They have no time to think. And Prague is just going to start pushing his own pawns here. And in this position, Magnus Carlsen resigned. Because how are you defending this bishop? I mean, what is the plan here? You can give a check. The king goes up to b3. You can play here, I guess, but then you just take this, and the bishop cannot take. This is pinned. It's under attack. The other rook cannot come to the support of this bishop. So Prague absolutely schooling Magnus for game number 1. But guys, don't worry, Magnus will make a return at the end of this video, so stick around. Here he is. The man of controversy, Hans Niemann with the black pieces, Fabiano Caruana, arguably the greatest player to never win a world championship, playing with the white pieces. d4, f5, c3, d5. I mean, it's all going down here. We get knight to d2, c6. I mean, who is going to strike in the centre first with the e-pawn? We don't know. Bishop c2, queen f7, knight f3, bishop c7. This bishop pair on both sides just looks absolutely terrifying, doesn't it? It just looks absolutely terrifying. g3, knight e6, knight e3. I mean, both knights looking to position themselves in the centre on like this f4 square for Fabiano. b6 is played, opening up the light square bishop potentially on a nice Thienkettoed file. And now we get knight f4. a5 is played, so Hans looking to just maul down this side of the board. Also worth noting, at the point this game was played, Hans Niemann was already through. Okay, he was 4.5 out of 5. He's already locked in the winner's bracket. So he didn't overly care for the result of this game in the slightest. He had already proven himself on the grand stage. Okay, he is already through to the winner's bracket. He's in knockout play. He can still win the tournament. h4 by Fabiano. h5 by Hans. Hans saying, you're not just going to push your flank pawns and attack me like this. We get a knight trade. Bishop f4, bishop a6, e3 is played, bishop to d6, bishop to e5. Now the bishop can take, knight can take, but after the move, knight to d7, this beautifully outposted knight is targeted very easily. So maybe a bit of an oversight by Fabiano, because Hans will just take, because that knight is too dangerous to be kept alive, as Mace Windu once said. And Palpatine actually, but that's a nerdy Star Wars debate, let's move on. c5 is played, queen f2, queen d7, and rook to d1. We get e6 played, so Hans really locking in his centre pawns here. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to try and break this open. It kind of looks like it's going to peter out into this like fortress draw where neither player can break through. But bishop d3 is played, looking to trade off these light square bishops, which we do get from the man Fabiano. c4, rook d1, b5 is played, a3, b4. We finally get a trade. Obviously, you don't take back this pawn for some weird reason. I couldn't tell you why. I mean, it just looks like a free pawn. It will easily be won back by the rook, but couldn't tell you why that's not played. Instead, we get short castles, queen over to a4, queen f4, and guys, king d7, e4. And from here, it all goes downhill for Hans. I mean, everything is literally about to crumble. This move e4 is inciting a trade, okay? Hans needs to completely ignore that and play like queen c6. Just be ultra solid. Stick to your plan of setting up this fortress. But Hans, already being 4.5 out of 5, just simply does not care. Okay, the result does not matter for him. I mean, he still has enough time to invest to think, but instead, he just takes. He just takes. And after the move d5, which Fabiano finds, This position is about to be completely broken open, and you'll notice that Fabiano has both rooks in ready to pounce when this position breaks open, whereas Hans, both rooks are on the flank when everything is going down in the centre here. I mean, I'll just highlight these squares. Everything's going down in the centre. Fabiano is ready to pounce, Hans is not. King goes to c7. We pick up another pawn. Rook slides over, and now this beautiful move, rook d6. Look how nice that is. It does so many things, okay? Number one, it's cutting off the king, okay? The king cannot now go progress with these pawns and the queen and the rook. That is Hans' only real chance, okay? Try and get your B and C pawns down the board. That is now not an option. Number two, if you make this trade, well, this is really quite terrifying for black. Okay, this is really quite terrifying because you're going to promote. You're going to get your queen into the game, ripping open the pawn structure. It's just terrifying. So rook d6, gorgeous move. B pawn takes. B pawn takes. And after this move, queen c2. Fabiano finds this move. Queen g5 and Hans resigns. Hans resigns. Your only move here that doesn't force a mate is this line. Oh, no, sorry, you don't take there. I'm very sorry. You go here, here, and then here. This is the only line that doesn't completely force a mate, and it is absolutely terrifying. Can you take here? You can even take here. Where is the king going? I mean, it's the only line, and it just means you're down a pawn, and Fabiano is this close to promotion. So Hans resigns in the position. I mean, I really don't blame him, in fairness. I mean, I'd probably do the same. Ladies and gentlemen, Hikaru Nakamura versus Hans Niemann. Hikaru, in the group that they were in, Hans and Hikaru were in the same group. Hikaru was the only person to finish above Hans. Hikaru went 5 for 5. Hans went 4.5 out of 5. Absolutely insane, okay? Can Hikaru stop Hans? This is the most exciting rivalry we have in chess today. Okay, so the position, relatively normal, except the bishops and knights have swapped places. So again, not relatively normal at all, actually. e4, e5, f3, knight e6, bishop f2, f6 is played. So both players looking to open up their bishops. I clearly can't draw arrows, but that's okay. And then c3, c6. So now it's a question of who is going to strike in the centre first? It's almost like a Ponziani setup, isn't it? Where you play like this move c3, looking to play d4 after e4 has already been played. It sort of looks like a Ponziani setup. But yeah, the question is, will Hans play d4 before Hikaru plays d5? That's the question. We get knight to g3, bishop f7, short castles, and now Hans plays d4. Hans is just ripping this centre open. Pawn takes, d5 from Hikaru now. Rook e1, rook e8. I mean, it's all very samey, isn't it? All very symmetrical. Knight goes to b3, knight jumps over to e7. We get bishop to d3, knight f4 attacking this bishop. So the bishop goes all the way back to f1. Now you'll notice the eval bar giving a slight edge to Hikaru here. Why that is, I couldn't tell you. I'm not stockfish, contrary to popular belief. Rook c1, queen over to d7, queen c2 setting up the battery on the c-file, bishop goes to d6, a3 is played, and then the knight hops back to g6, maybe looking to reroute. Knight goes to d2, bear with me 1 second, and then we get rook a to c8, b4 is played, bishop f4 attacks the knight. Now, obviously, if you were to move this knight, let's say here, that would be quite catastrophic because you would lose the rook. So instead, they move the rook over to reinforce the knight. Hikaru moves his rook to the centre. I mean, it's all about to go down in the centre, isn't it? So clearly about to get some trades, and just everything is going to be ripped open. Knight goes to b1, rook to a8, knight c3, so just rerouting the knight to a more favourable square that benefits the centre. Bishop drops back to d6, queen b2. And when I was watching this live, it just felt like they were shuffling the pieces back and forth to positions they'd already been in. It felt like the position was pretty locked up unless one of them forced a trade. And it just felt like it was going to be a draw. Neither player needed to win this game. They were both already in the winner's bracket. Queen c7, b5, c5, rook c1, rook c8, knight a4. The first mistake of the game. because of the move c4. The pawn is now pushing. The pawn is getting in there like swimwear behind the queen and rook. It's looking a little bit scary now. Bear in mind, they don't have an eval bar. Knight c3 and knight f4. Another mistake, because now the knight can actually just take on d5. The knight can just take. And like all these trades would be absolutely fine. I mean, maybe not so fine. Where did I go wrong? You're meant to play this move. Pick up this pawn. Because now the queen has to move somewhere. That makes a lot more sense. So it's a little bit of an intermezzo, same sort of idea. But rook d1 is played by Hans. So not capitalising on Hikaru's mistakes. And Hikaru is not going to make many mistakes. So that's very brave. Queen d7, a4, h5, h4. So Hans saying you're not pushing your flank pawn. Notice a pattern. Anytime anyone pushes a flank pawn, Hans just says, nope, I'm pushing my own. Queen to d2, queen d6. And we finally get a trade in the centre. But it comes at the wrong time. f5 is played. I don't think you guys understand just how gorgeous a move this is, okay? The idea of taking on d5 from Hans is to open up this square for either of the knights to jump into. And Hikaru just says, no, you're not putting a knight on this e4 square. He pushes the pawn, and it also allows, I don't know, maybe the queen or knight to swing over here. Maybe the queen would go on to f6, actually. That looks quite dangerous long term, but who knows? It's such a gorgeous move. Rook e1, queen f6. Okay, so the queen does go there. Knight down to d1. I mean, it's looking very unpleasant for Hans now. Knight takes, rook takes, queen takes, rook takes, rook takes. Now this rook has the open c-file. I mean, material is completely equal, but look at this. Look how active these pieces are. It's absolutely terrifying. f4 is played. Hikaru just picks that up. He says, that's a free pawn. Thank you very much. I mean, look how low they're getting on time as well. Knight f6. Bishop goes to e2, trying to defend. Bishop c4 attacks the queen. Queen has to move out the way. Bishop d5 attacks the queen. Knight f1 is played. Queen trade on the board. Bishop. Oh my god. No queens on the board. Hikaru up a pawn. Going to be in a completely winning endgame. Pieces are much more active. Look at Hans' knights. They're not doing anything. Bishop takes, knight takes. These trades are not benefiting Hans in the slightest. The rook attacks the bishop. And after knight d5, g3, and rook c1, Hans Niemann resigns the game. Because how do you defend this knight? You just can't. I mean, what would be the play here? Like, because you can't go here, because, well, that would just hang a knight. And this knight cannot take back because of the pin. This rook now can't move because of the pin. So you can't defend this way. You can't bring the rook over because bishop just takes. Absolutely frightening. Now, guys, I promised you some more Magnus at the end of the video. Magnus Carlsen plays Levon Aronian twice. They played earlier on in the tournament during the round robin. Magnus Carlsen beat Levon Aronian. So he has the head-to-head on him, but Levon Aronian and Magnus Carlsen finished on the same score. Okay, they finished on the same score at the end of the game. At the end of the round robin, sorry. So now they have to play for a spot in the winner's bracket. So whoever loses, they cannot win the tournament. They can come second, I believe? Or third. I don't even know if they can come second. They can still compete for a podium place. But they cannot win the tournament, whoever loses out of these two. Could Magnus really be going out the tournament this early on? Magnus with the white pieces, Levon with the black pieces. And they only get 5 minutes this time round, not 10 minutes. So c4, c5, both pushing the pawns behind the rook. e3, knight f6, knight f3, b6 is played, ultra solid, bishop goes to e2, g6, and Magnus short castles. We get bishop g7, setting up this fianchetto. This bishop in the corner, by the way, is terrifying. Look at this bishop pair from Magnus. I mean, it's so active. b4, short castles, knight jumps to c3, knight c6, and we get a trade in the centre. Not really the centre, on the c-file. This move h3 is played, stopping the knight jumping forwards. Queen trade is inbound. Now, Levon, if he can get a draw this game, I mean, that is great news. That is really good news because he has the black pieces. So they then play another game where he has the white pieces. So a queen trade for Levon, great news. Let's try and trade everything we can off. d3, knight to d7, knight d5, bishop takes, rook takes. Again, Levon just trying to trade everything he can off to try simplify the position. Kicks the knight back, knight jumps forwards, rook to b1, rook to d8, rook to c1, rook to d7, knight d2, and king to g7. That was a lot of rook moves. My brain is hurting. Knight b3, rerouting, and then rook to b8, d4, looking to strike in the centre. And we finally get another trade. Material still completely equal. Eval gives the most minor advantage to Levon. It's literally nothing. This is a very drawish position. Or is it? Or is it? I mean, Magnus here is meant to trade the pawns. But he doesn't. And he allows Levon to play this move, knight to c4. This outposted knight is looking absolutely... chef's kiss. Look at the time already. I mean, neither player has any time on the clock. And there is still, I don't know, 50 moves left. There's 50 moves left to be played. And they both do it in under a minute. Knight jumps back to d1, rook b4, knight to b2, sorry. Magnus here is completely losing. And he has 5 seconds on the clock. But it would be the most Magnus thing in the world to turn this game round and win. Knight takes, rook takes, knight takes. Bishop slides back to reinforce the knight. Rook slides over to attack the pawn. Rook slides over to attack the knight. And the knight jumps back. I thought we were going to get more trades, but no. Bishop e2, bishop to b7, rook c3, knight e5, a3 attacks the rook, rook goes to a4, knight jumps out the way, so the rook now defends the pawn, and we get this move, knight c4. I mean, how are you ever challenging this knight without giving up your bishop? I mean, you have to give up your bishop, which Magnus does. And now we're getting so many trades, and Levon is up 2 pawns now. Levon Aronian is up 2 pawns against the world champ. Not the world champ. The reigning... No. The prior 5-time world champ. Maybe that's the best way of saying it. Levon's still up 2 pawns. Now he's on the hunt for the knight. He's just picking up so many pawns. Magnus does not have enough counterplay here. How on earth can Magnus go on and win this game down 2 pawns? There is nothing he can do. Levon is going to start pushing his pawns. He's going to reroute. He's going to start pushing his pawns. King goes back. And in this position, Magnus Carlsen resigns. Like, what can you actually do? If you go here, there's this move, rook f2 check. King goes g3. You go rook f5. And you pick up the pawn. And it's just 2 against nothing. There is no chance Magnus could win this. So Magnus loses with the white pieces. So now he has the black pieces. And if Levon just gets a draw, he's in the winner's bracket. Magnus has a serious chance of not being able to win this tournament. The GOAT of chess, the greatest player of all time, has a serious chance of not being able to win this tournament. f4. Knight to b6, knight b3, f5, g3 and g6. So both the bishop pairs being opened up towards this king's side of the board. Both the knights defending these squares from the absolute terror of both bishops. I'll just draw some arrows for you. Oh, I can't draw arrows clearly. Hey-ho. e4. F takes on e4 and the bishop takes back. e5 by Magnus. Knight to d3 by Levon. Knight d6. Bishop slides back. And we finally get another trade. Will the queens come off the board? Bear in mind, Magnus needs to win this game. Will the queens come off the board? No. We get bishop to c4. And now the queens come off the board. Levon just wants everything off. If he can simplify this position, the game is over. Rook to e1, bishop d5, and we get another trade. This is not good for Magnus. He needs to keep material on the board. Levon long castling. It just looks so cool when they long castle in freestyle. Knight jumps back, and we get another trade. Again, this is not good for Magnus, man. But we know what Magnus is like. He can find wins out of nothing. c5, c3, king c7, sorry, king c2, king c6. Both kings marching towards the centre. The knight rerouting. Bishop comes forwards. Bishop f4. And here we get the move d6. Rook to e1, double stacking. Both players have double stacked their rooks, by the way. It's looking very scary. King d7, and now they're pushing pawns. We get another trade, man. This is not benefiting Magnus in the slightest. Knight stepping over, rook shuffling about. Do we get a bishop trade? Yes, we do. But now look at Levon's knight. I mean, obviously you can play here and challenge it, but it's not clear, man. Takes, and the knight jumps back. Rook attacks the knight, but the knight can just pick up a free pawn, man. Magnus and Levon both down to such low time. So he attacks the knight. Maybe doesn't even see that this pawn can be taken. Pawn goes to d5, which is such a nice move because it stops the knight from rerouting to e4, because that is a very dangerous square. G4, knight to d6, knight jumps back to f3, attacking the rooks. We get rook f2. Knight goes back here. It was not meant to go there. We're meant to see knight d4 looks pretty strong, but it's actually knight e5 check. Okay, I thought maybe knight d4 looked better, but what the hell do I know? Knight e1, knight to e4, rook steps up looking for another trade, and Magnus was actually meant to take the trade, but he doesn't. He slides back, and now there's this move king e2, attacking the rook. The knight can't give a check defending the rook because obviously Levon's rook would just take. So here you have to play like rook f8, but Magnus plays rook h1. G5, G6. I mean, this is just terrifying. Gives a check, but the king can just go to G8 blocking. But Levon has a pawn on G7. He's managed to get a pawn all the way. And here comes the knight. The knight is about to be in there like swimwear. He sets a little bit of a trap for Magnus, who's low on time. Because if you take, I mean, mate is imminent. But obviously, Magnus being the GOAT doesn't take the knight and instead brings his own knight back. This is a miss. He's meant to take the knight. You're meant to take this knight. Because if you do this, you take, and material is equal, it's going to be a draw. Magnus doesn't take the knight though. He brings his own knight back. Levon pushing the rook. The knight hops back again. Magnus can win! Knight f4, forking the king and the rook. He has 5 seconds on his clock. He has to find this. He doesn't find it! Oh my god. Oh my god, he didn't find it. Levon is now up a pawn. He's now not up a pawn. It's looking like it's just going to be a draw here. And a draw will see Levon through. Oh my goodness, what an emotional game. Hang on. Knight d3. Levon has 7 seconds on his clock to prove the advantage. Rook d4 attacks the knight. Knight e5 check. King e4 attacks the knight. Knight goes to c6. Check. g4. Knight to c4. a4. What a mistake because of the move rook c5. What a mistake. If you, let's say you go, I don't know, like knight d8. Well, then there's this move, knight to e3 check. The king cannot come anywhere near this pawn. This pawn is going to drop. These two are going to go promote. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. Also, if you go to h3, by the way, there is actually a mate. You just go here, here, here. Gives a check. Knight takes. Here, here, here. Knight goes here. This is, in fact, checkmate. I mean, that probably wouldn't have been found because of how low they are on time. But Levon just beat Magnus twice in a row. And Magnus now cannot win this tournament. I mean, the drama from day one has been absolutely immense. Hikaru Nakamura beat Hans Niemann. Fabiano Caruana beat Hans Niemann. Pragnananda beat Magnus Carlsen. Levon beat Magnus Carlsen. And there were other very notable games that I didn't show you, like Magnus Carlsen beat Vincent Keimer, for example, who is unbelievable at freestyle chess. Arguably like top 3 in the world, the German sensation. But guys, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Join us for day 2 of this freestyle tournament held in Las Vegas. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.